My name is Lacrămioara Oprică and I am Associate Professor PhD at the Faculty of Biology, Alexandru Ioan Cuza, University Iași. Research interest and expertise within the project theme is food biochemistry, salinity and growth elevation, green chemistry for nanoparticle synthesis, biotic and abiotic stress responses, and plant physiology and biochemistry. I am going to present a topic that was and is still relevant today: biochemical difference between organic and conventional foods, a comparative study. In this sense, the presentation is structured as follows. Introduction, differences between organic and conventional foods in the content of nutrients, phytomicronutrients and contaminants, nutritional quality of organic versus conventional foodstuff, sanitary estimation of organic foodstuff, potential health benefit of organic food, and conclusion. In recent years, several studies confirm people believe in healthier properties of food from organic agriculture as consequence of the environmental friendly management. But until now, there is a lack of strong scientific evidence that organic food is significantly different from the conventional one in regard to nutritional properties and health impact. This is due to several important aspects that need to be considered in the experimental design of comparative studies and consequently in their interpretation. In fact, many factors impact the nutrient density of crops, whether they are grown organically or conventionally. Some factors impact both production systems equally, while a few factors tend to have a larger impact on one production system over the other. In order to carry out a valid comparison between organic and conventional agriculture food products at first, plants have to be of the same cultivar and have to be cultivated near farms with similar soils under similar climatic conditions. Furthermore, products must be sampled at the same time and pre-treated similarly, analyzed by accredited laboratories employing validated methods, and results statistically treated. Generally, studies are divided into three classes: market-oriented studies, surveys, and cultivation tests. In the first type of works, products are taken from organic and conventional shops. No information about origin, ripeness, variety, climate, and condition of production is considered during comparisons. In surveys, instead, products derived from selected organic and conventional farms. Environmental factors and condition of production can be used in comparison studies selecting neighboring farms, but the precision of these parameters cannot be verified. The last category of works is represented by cultivation tests that allow to assess the difference in quality between organic and conventional products. Unfortunately, results can be applied only in the specific farm situation considered. Organic foods differ from the conventional ones predominantly because of the absence of pesticides, fertilizers, and heavy metals residues as application of regulated production rules. The majority of literature studies dealing with organic food quantify these compounds to verify the limits. The absence of pesticides use and nitrogen fertilization influences the production of bioactive compounds and plant metabolites. An example is given by those involving the defense mechanism of plants. As a consequence, a natural functional food is expected to have higher contents of health-promoting substances if cultivated under organic agricultural system. In this context, this presentation focuses on such bioactive compounds noted to improve human health, to evaluate if their content in food can be used to discriminate between the two types of agricultural systems. Organic production has become increasingly important worldwide as a potential alternative to conventional intensive agriculture due to great concerns about the environment, food safety, and human health. In developed countries, demand for organic products is steadily rising, and a relevant proportion of food consumed comes from organic sources. As stated in Council Regulation number 834 per 2007, organic products can be defined as food products deriving from organic production, which means the use of the production method compliant with the rules established in the European regulation at all stages of production, preparation, and distribution. The debate about differences in nutritional properties between organic and conventional food is very topical, the proof being the consistent number of scientific papers and reviews published in the past few years. Some of these studies concluded that organic foods have higher content of nutrients, while others underline the absence of differences in nutritional values between the two alternatives. The opposite outcomes were ascribed to the lack of coherence in study design and implementation. In fact, frequently, inaccurate comparisons led to assert the superior quality of organic in respect to conventional foods. The nutrient content is strictly affected by varieties. Furthermore, other factors such as geographic location of crops, characteristics of soil and climate, maturity from harvest to storage, as well as testing, must not be neglected in the way of comparison between organic and conventional agricultural methods. Considering the definition and the principles of organic production, the consumption of organic foods may reduce exposure to nitrate and pesticide residues due to the strict limitation of the use of chemically synthesized inputs. However, the significance of these differences is questionable because actual levels of contamination in organic and conventional foods are generally well below acceptable limits, and in general the proximity to sources of contamination, for example traffic and chemical industries, seems to have a crucial role in the occurrence of environmental pollutants in foodstuffs. This may partially explain why evidence on the association between the consumption of organic foods and the risk of developing chronic diseases is generally weak. Conversely, the definition given by Council Regulation number 834 per 2007 does not include any mention of possible differences in terms of the nutritional quality and healthiness of organic and conventional products. Despite this, evidence suggests that people tend to perceive organic foods as healthier than standard non-organic foods, with healthiness primarily understood as a nutritional value. This is probably due to the so-called health halo effect, which induces the consumer to overestimate the healthfulness of food with a specific attribute. For instance, compared to the conventional products, organic foods are perceived as of lower calorific value and more palatable to the consumer, who also generally show more intention to pay for organic products. In this scenario, several studies have investigated the possible differences between several categories of organic and conventional foods, including fruits and vegetables, meat, milk, and dairy foods. Only small differences in nutrient content between organic and conventional products have been evidenced, mostly related to differences in production methods. However, no conclusive data have clearly evidenced neither a higher nutritional quality of organic products when compared with the conventional alternatives, nor nutrition-related health effects for organic products. Most of the studies have been focused on the nutritional quality of primary products. Conversely, the possible differences between processed and prepacked organic and conventional products have been barely investigated. Organic farming represents one of the substantial and dynamic sectors of the food industry, characterized by a constant expansion in recent years throughout Europe. Discrimination between organic and conventional products is referring to the modality of the growth and processing in accordance with the specific regulation of each region. For the European Union, these regulations are included in the last regulation 848 per 2018 of the European Parliament and of the Council of 30 of May 2018 on organic production and labeling of organic products, that repealing Council Regulation number 834 per 2007. The main reasons that consumers prefer organic products instead of conventional ones are the nutritional intake and safety of these foods, even if the existing data which attest their superior quality are limited and often contradictory. For many consumers, Terms such as ecological food and biological food are associated and synonymous with organic food. Food quality can be described by both sensory, subjective, and nutritional, objective characteristics. Although the sensory quality of foods, expressed by taste, aroma, texture, palatability, or satiety index, is important, and this is not sufficient if is not taken in consideration the intrinsic quality of the nutritional profile expressed by the energy density index, the glycemic index, and the oxidant score. Organic products are those obtained by organic agriculture and are enhancing human and environmental health because are obtained without use of synthetic fertilizers and pesticides. This figure evidences the characteristics of the organic food by comparison to the conventional food. Thus, organic food have fewer antibiotics, no many nitrates, no many pesticides, more minerals, sometimes more ascorbic acid, never use of synthetic hormones, more healthy fatty acids, and fewer fertilizers. Conventional non-organic products are those for which the farmers utilize chemical fertilizers to enhance plants' growth. In conventional food production, pesticides are often used, and in animal rearing, the farmers also use antibiotics and growth hormones to improve the growth and health status of the animals. In these pictures are evidenced features of the organic crop farming and organic livestock system. Thus, organic crop farming avoids synthetic pesticides and fertilizers, avoid sewage sludge, build soil quality and use crop rotation, and avoid genetic engineering. Furthermore, organic livestock system accommodate natural nutritional and behavioral needs, provide organic feed, vaccinate livestock, and avoid antibiotics and growth hormones. Now we are going to discuss about differences between organic and conventional foods in the content of nutrients, phytomicronutrients, and contaminants. Few words about the nutritional quality of organic versus conventional foodstuff. Macronutrients content. Carbohydrates are the main components of human and animal food, being present in vegetable products in a percentage of 89 to 90, and animal products 1 to 5%. The content of total sugars in vegetable raw materials ensures both a superior quality of the product from a technological point of view and a better taste. Some studies, like Müller and Sauerwein in 2010, highlighted a higher level of protein in conventional milk when compared to the organic one. In addition, Steriadis et al. In 2015 reported that the ratio between kappa-casein, a milk-specific phosphoprotein, and casein was at higher level in regular milk in comparison to the milk obtained in organic conditions. In contrast, other proteins such as alpha-lactalbumin, beta-lactoglobulin, and lactoferrin were found higher in cow's organic milk compared to those of conventional milk. Fatty acids are basic components of lipids and can be saturated, have no double bonds, or unsaturated, contain double bonds in the hydrocarbon chain. Unsaturated fatty acids can have a single double bond or several double bonds, being called monounsaturated MEFA and polyunsaturated PFA respectively. Essential fatty acids are necessary for the human body that cannot synthesize them, therefore they are brought through the food. Nutritionists call them essential fatty acids because they have unique beneficial properties and must be brought into the body in an enough proportion, because their lack or presence in an insufficient amount prevents the use of other fatty acids in the body. Thus, for the body, very important fatty acids are omega-3, alpha-linoleic acid, omega-6 linoleic acid, and omega-9 oleic acid. The majority of studies dealing with PFAs in conventional and organic products are focused on olive oil for high contents in this matrix. Thus, some authors, like Garcia Gonzalez et al. In 2014, compared certified organic and conventional olive oil samples from different Spanish cultivars, Arbequina, Cornicabra, Roche Blanca, and Picual. By application of multivariate algorithms like principal component analysis and multidimensional scaling, authors concluded that fatty acids and sterols profile and content were only able to discriminate olive oil samples according to fruit cultivars. Other authors, like Saman et al. In 2008, by comparing organic and conventional edible oils, like coconut, olive, canola oils, mustard oil seeds, and sesame oil, found insignificant differences in the content of PUFAs. The influence of the cultivation methods on the quality indices of virgin olive oils was also investigated by Anastopoulos et al. In 2013. Olive oils, Koroneiki cultivars, produced in different geographical origins and seasons, years 2000 and 2004 respectively, show differences in PFA's content. Those from organic production system in season 2004 had a PFA's level significantly higher when comparing to the conventional products. The nutritional value of the meat of animal raised on organic farms, in particular expressed by the content of fatty acids, is better compared to that produced by intensive production system. Thus, the high content of unsaturated fatty acids, PUFA, is associated with the prevention of some diseases. As stated in the Dalziel et al. In 2015, the fat content is lower in organic meat than in industrial livestock production, and organic pork has a higher amount of unsaturated fatty acids. Therefore, pigs which grow and reared out of doors systems in the organic production and used different diets had the quality of nutrients and fatty acids better than the pork from conventional ones. Because chickens from organic farms have access to the outside compared to those that grow in cages in the conventional system, the composition of fatty acids is varied. In addition, there are significant differences like juiciness, taste, color, fatty acids level between chicken meats from the two types of farms, being to the advantage of the organic ones. With few exceptions, many studies show that breasts and thighs of organic chickens have a better content of polyunsaturated fatty acids when compared to chickens in intensive production farms. Studies show that feeding cows and sheep with grass on organic farms resulted in a four-fold increase of linolenic level acid in muscle when compared to the animals which were fed with concentrates. In addition, Patsenko et al. In 2000 reported that meat from the cows raised in the open system is richer in polyunsaturated fatty acids compared to that in animal raised in the intensive system. The diet specific to organic farms, grass, clover and hay, also has an effect on the fatty acids content of cow's milk as opposed to milk of cows raised in the intensive system. Thus, Blocksma et al. In 2008 found higher omega-3 fatty acids level in the organic milk compared with the conventional one. In eggs, the composition of fatty acids depends on the contact of the hen with the open pasture in the system of organic farms, with the level of omega-3 fatty acids in egg yolk being higher than the one from the hens that are raised in cages with no access to the pasture. Moreover, there are differences in the fish flesh quality provided from organic and conventional aquaculture. Thereby, in organic aquaculture systems, it is recommended that animals to be fed so that the fooder provides all the substances necessary for their growth, as well as their health maintaining, and as a result, the quality of the meat to be superior. In contrast, conventional aquaculture uses dietary formulations that contain minerals, vitamins, and carotenoids with natural or synthetic origin, as well as antibiotics. In the case of freshwater fish, such as salmonids, an important role in obtaining the red-orange color of the skin and flesh is played by the astaxanthin and canthaxanthin carotenoids provided through the food chain from zooplankton. As a result, in the fish from organic farm was found the higher content of omega-3 PUFAs. Minerals content. Minerals in food have an important nutritional and physiological role and help our bodies to develop and function. They are essential for good health and they are in different quantities in foods. Many studies investigated micronutrients levels in organic and conventional products due to their vital importance in human diet. The most investigated essential elements were phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, iron, copper, sulfur, calcium, zinc, and sodium. Some of the metals, like chromium, copper, and zinc, are essential for normal cell functions due to mediating vital biochemical reactions by acting as cofactors for many enzymes, but also a center for maintaining the structures of enzymes and proteins. Multiple factors such as anthropogenic activity, elements of soil structure, and the leakage of the contaminated waters may contribute to the accumulation of minerals in operating environments, including heavy metals. Minerals are present in the soil and are bioavailable for plant acquisition. In conventional agricultural management, many minerals like phosphorus, potassium, and nitrogen are commonly used in the form of soluble chemical fertilizers, so it could be expected a highest quantity of such minerals in conventional products than in the organic alternatives. But different results were obtained considering levels of minerals in organic and conventional fruits and vegetables. Many scientific studies showed how different agricultural systems have a strong influence on mineral content in products. In particular, organic food were higher in such compounds content. Cola et al. In 2002, investigating tomatoes' elemental composition, reported only statistical results from which organically grown fruits had highest amount of phosphorus and calcium, whereas conventionally grown tomatoes were richest in nitrogen and sodium. Other authors like Gastol and Domagalas Viatkiewicz in 2012 found non-relationships between agricultural processes and minerals content in some fruits because of heterogeneity in results. Only in blackcurrant juice, results shown with the use of histograms, authors found significant higher amounts of minerals in the organic fruits. Further, a multi-element fingerprinting of potatoes and cereals stated the absence of systematic differences between levels of mineral in products and different factors like crop management, location, and year of cultivation. Nitrate content was also evaluated in organic food for the risk on human health. Thus, Goreniak et al. In 2012 estimated nitrate content in lettuce, Lactuca sativa, of different geographical origins. The average of nitrate content was significantly lower in organically cultivated lettuce than in conventional products. Concerning some vegetables like potatoes, carrots, beetroots, lettuce, kale, leeks, turnips, onions, celery, and tomatoes, there is a tendency for higher contents of iron and magnesium based on fresh weight in organic products without further significant changes. Regarding cereals, Cooper et al. In 2011 reported a lower level of aluminium, copper, and zinc in conventional wheat compared to the organic one. Alfoldi et al. In 1996 showed that in organic barley there is a higher concentration of calcium, copper, and zinc. Higher mineral content may be due to the cultivation of the soil, achieved correspondingly with organic farming rules and containing several microorganisms able to help increasing the availability of mineral compounds needed for the plants. In addition, Cholek et al. In 2012 found that wet grain from organic farming was characterized by a higher content of magnesium, iron, zinc, calcium, and magnesium when compared to those from conventional farming. Significantly higher amounts of chromium were found in organic flours, and nickel was also more abundant in both organic flours and semolina than in conventional ones. Contrariwise, the increased availability of potassium in soil caused by the applied potassium salt fertilization was reflected in a higher content of this nutrient in grain of all cereals from conventional cultivation. New data based on the meta-analysis revealed that some minerals are present in higher proportion, more than 5.5% in fruits and vegetables grown in organic conditions compared to those obtained in conventional agriculture. This is the case for the copper, magnesium, molybdenum, potassium, sodium, zinc, etc. Regarding animal products, existing information is very limited. Nevertheless, It has been clearly shown that chickens grown in open fields have a slightly higher iron level compared to those raised indoors. Dietary intake seems to influence the iodine concentrations, this being higher in organic than conventional milk without influence of the production season. Since in intensive agriculture the principal sources of oligoelements are the mineral supplements normally added to the feed, it is justified significantly lower concentration of these minerals: cobalt, copper, chromium, iron, iod, mangan, molybdenum, nickel, selenium and zinc in organic milk compared to conventional one. Vitamins content. Vitamins are organic substances that the human body cannot synthesize but which are indispensable for normal growth, harmonious development and maintenance. Thus, for the normal functioning of the body, an adequate supply of vitamins must be ensured through food. It is known that natural vitamins from food are superior to synthetic ones, even if the active substance is identical. Vitamins can be insoluble in water, such as A, D, E, and K, and others are water soluble, C and B. In the human body, ascorbic acid, vitamin C, has a crucial role in human health due to its antioxidant role. Moreover, vitamin C protects the body against various chronic diseases and helps to maintain the vascular system in good condition. The highest amount of vitamin C were identified in the organic food tested, represented mainly by the fruits and vegetables. Plant itself is responsible for the production of vitamins, depending mainly by variety, ripeness of fruits and crop sizes. However, heterogeneous results came from research studies about the content of vitamins in organic and conventional plant foods. Some studies underline a significant relation between vitamin C content in fruits and vegetables and organic procedures. Others didn't find a consistent trend. Few studies focused on the presence of other vitamins and their precursors. Most of the studies showed that the level of ascorbic acid was higher in many organic tested fruits like peaches, passion fruits, and vegetables such as tomatoes and potato than in the conventional ones. However, some other studies have shown a lower or identical level of ascorbic acid in organic plants, especially in tomatoes, and no differences in leeks, carrots, or beets. For the levels of vitamin B1, thiamine, and B2, riboflavin, there are very sparse and inconclusive published data. However, a study showed that the millets grown on the organic farm with manure had vitamin B content with 15% higher than those grown on soil treated with chemicals. Regarding the content of vitamins A, D, and E of cow milk from organic farms, this is higher than the vitamin content of the milk from animals that do not utilize the pasture. Some studies show that the vitamin A level was higher with 10 to 17% in wet grown in the manure soil comparatively to the one grown on chemically fertilized soil. To understand evidences of higher content of some vitamins in organic fruits and vegetables, influence on nitrogen fertilization was studied in depth. Nitrogen fertilization belonging to conventional agriculture was found to decrease vitamin C content in different fruits and vegetables like potatoes, tomatoes, and citrus fruits, as well as to increase the beta-carotene content. Carotenoids are very important substances for human health. They have an anti-cancer role, being very good antioxidants because they have the property to neutralize free radicals. Comparative studies of carotenoids content in organic and conventional plant products have shown various results, often contradictory. Thus, most of the authors point out an elevated level of carotenoids in organic carrots, sweet peppers, and tomatoes. In contrast, other studies found lower or similar contents of carotenoids in organic products like blanched carrots and tomatoes. The amount of carotenoids in the plant body is influenced by external factors like climatic condition, pesticides, and fertilizer used, but also by internal factors, genotypes of crop plants. Lycopene is the main carotenoid present in tomatoes, which gives them their vivid red color. It has been shown to help reduce cancer risk. Nitrogen is one of the factors which increase the content of lycopene in tomato fruits. Thus, by nitrogen fertilization in conventional agriculture, it obtained a high level of lycopene comparatively with organic tomatoes. The main objective in the dairy industry is to prevent the spontaneous oxidation of milk, a phenomenon influenced by the content of alpha-tocopherol, a type of vitamin E, and beta-carotene, a precursor inactive form of vitamin A. The fresh forages contain higher concentration of vitamins compared with stored or dry fodder and cereals, and for this reason many studies have mentioned higher level of alpha-tocopherol and beta-carotene in organic milk than milk from animals fed with conventional feeding. However, according to Zagorska and Ziprovica in 2008, the levels of vitamin B1 and vitamin B2 are lower in organic milk compared to conventional one. Several studies have established that the egg yolk from chickens raised on organic farms contain more carotenoids, beta-carotene and zeaxanthin, than conventional ones. Moreover, high levels of alpha-tocopherol and flavonoids were found in organic egg yolk by comparison to those from chickens raised in intensive production systems. This is why organic eggs are more expensive in many countries. Other phytomicronutrients. Secondary plant metabolites are substances naturally synthesized by the plant as survival strategies in response to adverse environmental conditions, stressors, or in case of pest aggression. The vast majority of secondary metabolites are antioxidant compounds that protect the human body from a number of diseases or impact of several external factors. Fruits and vegetables comprise multitude types of micronutrients that are secondary metabolites of plants, like polyphenol, flavonoids, anthocyanin, resveratrol, and some non-provitaminic carotenoids. These elements have a major role in regulating cellular activities, being implied in prevention of some diseases, including cancer, chronic inflammation, and other pathologies. Polyphenols represent a category of micronutrients naturally present in fruits, vegetables, herbs, spices, dark chocolate, wine, etc. Many of the health benefits of polyphenols may be related to their role as antioxidants. They are not essential nutrients in the human diet, but play an important role in preventing of many diseases, cancer, cardiovascular disease, etc. Most studies indicated that organic fruits and vegetables have high polyphenols content than those grown in conventional farms. Furthermore, organically produced fruit, peach and pear, strawberries, golden delicious apple, and orange, and the vegetables, tomato, pepper, etc., often presented greater levels of some secondary plant metabolites, phenols and the polyphenols and flavonoids, also with importance for human health. Another studies indicated that organic oranges had higher content of total polyphenols, total anthocyanins, ascorbic acid, and total antioxidant activity than red oranges of integrated systems. However, there are authors who found equal amount of phenolic compounds, or sometimes even smaller, in vegetable and fruits from organic farming. Thus, Strachey et al. In 2010 show no difference regarding apple fruits phenols and polyphenols content from two farming systems, organic and conventional. The content of polyphenols is different in both organic and conventional vegetables without preponderance for either of the two agricultural types. Resveratrol is probably the most studied phytochemical compound due to its proven properties in pharmaceutical models. This polyphenol contains antioxidants and has many roles, including vasoprotection, preventive action against cancer, and positive effect in the treatment of degenerative diseases, being present in large quantities in organic wines. The effect of cultivation methods on the antioxidant capacity of blueberry was evaluated in random samples of commercial late harvest fields in New Jersey by Wang et al. In 2008. Results show that blueberry fruit grown from organic culture contains significantly higher total phenolics, total anthocyanins, and antioxidant activity than fruits from the conventional cultures. Higher levels of some polyphenolic compounds were also found in organic peaches, in Cultivar Regina Bianca, and pear, Cultivar Williams, in respect to the corresponding conventional samples. In particular, organic peach had statistically higher levels of chlorogenic acid and of total polyphenols, while organic beer had higher levels of total polyphenols as well and of caffeic acid. Lombardi Boccia et al. In 2004 also found conventional plums richest in total polyphenols content. Moreover, quercetin was higher in conventional plums, while kaempferol was higher in organic plums. Both in organic and conventional fruits, caffeic acid, chlorogenic acid, and quercetin were the predominant compounds. In opposite to these results, in vegetable juices from celery, carrot, and red beet, Gastol et al. In 2013 did not found differences in polyphenolic content between organic and conventional products. No differences in total phenolics content were found by Granato et al. Analyzing organic and conventional purple grape juices. Similar results were reported in broccoli by Valverde et al. In 2015, which didn't find differences in total phenols and flavonoids levels between the two agricultural systems. Many hypotheses were formulated to justify higher concentration of such compounds in organic crops and foods. Polyphenols, as phytonutrient compounds, are involved in the defensive mechanism of plants after attack by pests or diseases. At first, plants subjected to stress tend to accumulate higher content of secondary compounds. When pesticides are avoided, these compounds are also accumulated by natural protection system of plants. Furthermore, polyphenols are mainly synthesized during ripening of plant products. Moreover, conventional crop management, consisting in higher amounts of nitrogen fertilizers than organic farming, generally accelerates plant growth with the consequent decreasing of plant metabolized production. Sanitary estimation of organic foodstuff, pathogenic microorganisms. The beginning few words about microbial quality of organic versus conventional products. In organic farming, the main fertilizer types is animal manure and no chemical treatment against bacteria is allowed. Thus, it gives rise to the possible contamination of a product with microbial pathogens like Escherichia coli, Salmonella, and Listeria monocytogenes. It is difficult to quantify the microbial difference between conventional and organic food due to limited and contradictory data from scientific studies. More than that, there is no compelling information indicating that organic foods can be contaminated in a different way than conventional ones. To measure microbial quality, many studies quantify total aerobic bacteria, Escherichia coli, which are a specific indicator of fecal contamination. Oliveira et al. In 2017 found a small difference in microbial measurements between 72 samples of organic and conventional lettuce, with a greater dominance of this bacteria in lettuce plants from organic, with 22.2%, than conventional agriculture, with 12.5%. On the other hand, several studies reported non-significant results in respect with other foodborne pathogens like Listeria monocytogenes and Salmonella enterica. Results show that there were not significant differences between organic and conventional products. Mycotoxins are an enormous family of toxic metabolites synthesized by fungi, such as Aspergillus, Penicillium, and Fusarium, developing on plants under favorable conditions, high humidity and temperature. Due to the danger to public health, the best known mycotoxins are aflatoxins, ochratoxins, fumonisins, deoxynivalenol, patulin, and zearalenone. Mycotoxins from food can affect the human health, leading in addition to other to carcinogenic effects and deterioration of the immune system functioning. Mycotoxin levels are a very important indicator of food quality. Mycotoxins contaminate especially cereals obtained on both conventional and organic farms. Considering that no chemical fungicides are used in organic production, the question arises whether an increase in mycotoxins will be possible. The rules of organic farming predict the crop rotation and cultivation of varieties that are resistant to fungi. It should be mentioned that fungi and implicitly the mycotoxins can occur due to poor storage conditions in both types of agriculture. However, some researchers show that the content of mycotoxins is higher in organic products than conventional ones, but the differences were small and the levels found were in acceptable limits. In their study, Blažetkošić et al. In 2014 mentioned a significantly higher level of mycotoxins in the case of conventional products compared to the organic grains. Phytochemical contaminants. Pesticides, like herbicides, fungicides, insecticides, are chemicals that are not found naturally in the environment. They are used to increase crop production and protect them from losses caused by diseases and pests during cultivation and storage. Many pesticides contain toxic substances with a harmful effect on the environment and thus on humans. In conventional agriculture, herbicides have the role of destroying unwanted plants growing in agriculture crops. Fungicides protect plants from pathogenic fungi, and insecticides kill harmful insects. Unfortunately, the use of pesticides not only affects the proposed target, but on the contrary, their residues accumulate in plants and later penetrate more or less human body of consumers. It should be noted that the effects of pesticides on consumer health depend on the dose absorbed from the contaminated food. In order to reduce pesticides in food, their maximum permissible residual levels have been established. However, the main way to diminish health risk because of pesticides is the consumption of organic products from organic farms, which theoretically are without pesticides. One of the major preoccupations of people buying organic food, both fruits and vegetables, is lack of pesticides residues. On the other hand, Marujoul and Goulart in 1999 show that organic food cannot be defined as pesticides-free. Recent researches indicate that the risk to identify the pesticides residues in conventional crops is 4 times higher than in organic ones. The content of pesticides in fruits and vegetables is different depending on the plant species and the pesticide dose used in the agriculture of the origin country. Globally, pesticides residues in fruits and vegetables depend on their degree of use, the highest value being recorded in the United States and Sweden being at the opposite pole. Some pesticide remains can persist in the soil for a long time and can be found in plants even if these substances were banned many years ago. This is the case of a dangerous chemical, namely DDT, which has been identified in carrots in a proportion of 17% after 20 years from the time it was no longer used. Some heavy metals are essential and beneficial to plants due to their important role in their growth and development. The increase of these elements' content in the soil can be realized by the anthropogenic activities like agricultural and industrial activities, transport, and from waste disposal. Agricultural practices such as inorganic fertilizers, pesticides, as well as sewage irrigation are known to be the contaminant sources. Therefore, this is the reason these elements exist in high amount compared to untreated soils. Heavy metals like cadmium and copper are present in some fertilizers and pesticides. The nitrogen fertilizers used in conventional farms contain hazardous heavy metals which can be absorbed by plants from soil. Being very persistent and non-biodegradable, a repeated application of pesticides and fertilizers leads over time to an increase in the amount of heavy metals accumulated in agricultural soil. Cadmium is one of the heavy metals found in phosphate fertilizers, which accumulates in the soil when these fertilizers are used annually. Crops that grow on contaminated soils become contaminated because they have absorbed these heavy metals. On the other hand, the metals industry and transport can contaminate the soil with cadmium, and in this way the plant crops. In a relatively recent metadata that used numerous data, it was found that in organic products the level of cadmium was lower than in conventional ones. Fertilizers are rarely used in organic farms, and those from industrial waste are practically never used. For this reason, organic products are expected to contain much smaller amounts of heavy metals. A chemical analysis regarding the levels of heavy metals in the samples harvested from organic and conventional farms show that there are important differences between the vegetables grown in these two systems. Especially vegetables grown on conventional farms tend to have a high content of heavy metals. However, there are also studies that show the opposite, namely that there are no distinct differences in the content of heavy metals between organic and conventional foods. However, these results are not conclusive. Nitrates and nitrites. Nitrate and nitrite ions are used as food additives both for preserving and flavoring food, for improving its taste and prolonging its shelf life by inhibiting of microorganism growth. Nitrate causes relatively slight damage to the human body but becomes chemically reactive and very toxic by being reducing to nitrites under the influence of bacteria in the intestinal microflora. Thus, the toxicity of nitrites is 6 to 10 times higher than that of nitrates. Nitrate is very soluble, and if it is not taken up by the roots of the plants, is entered the soil through irrigation water or rainwater. On the contrary, if it is taken up by the roots, it can accumulate in the leaves or in other organs of the plant. Nitrate can get into drinking water mainly as a result of intensive farming practices, soil contamination with nitrogen-containing fertilizers, as well as animal and human waste, can increase the concentration of nitrate in the water. The reason nitrate is commonly found in the groundwater and surface water is that nitrite is slightly oxidized to nitrate. Nitrogen is a necessary element for the plant growth and development, being absorbed from the soil in the form of nitrate. Once in the plant, it is used for the synthesis of amino acids and proteins. High amounts of nitrates have a significant negative effect on human health, leading to an increase in the amount of metahemoglobin in red blood cells. This is especially dangerous for young children and elderly people. Most nitrates enter the human body through the consumption of vegetables, about 80%, and only a small amount comes from foods such as fruits or grains. Most studies have shown that plants grown in traditional agriculture have higher amounts of nitrates than plants from organic farming. Compared with composts used in organic agriculture practice, chemical fertilizers lead to higher nitrate accumulation in most vegetables, such as lettuce, potato, carrot, beetroot, turnip, leek, and spinach. In organic farming, only organic fertilizers like compost manure, bone meal, and green manure crops are allowed. This is why in organic vegetables, a significantly lower amount of total nitrogen or nitrates and nitrites exists comparatively with conventional ones. Potential health benefit of organic food. Till now, many studies were focused on the analysis of the amounts of nutrients and antioxidant compounds, pesticides, and other chemicals residue content in organic versus conventional foods. In the case of animals and human, there are few researches that investigated the impact of organic food consumption on health of individuals. Consumers believe that the production and consumption of organic food results in a controlled exposure to pesticides, and therefore these products are more environmentally friendly and can contribute to a greater degree to the human well-being. Some experimental researches on animals highlighted that components of organic food may improve the physiological condition of animals, such as immune parameters and hormonal balance, but these results are not eloquent and the relevance to human health remains unclear. Considerable quantities of pesticides have accumulated in the environment because the chemicals have been used all over the world for a long time in conventional farms. This is the reason organic crops are not and will never be 100% pesticide residue free. However, the effect on human health of the pesticide level from conventionally produced food is not very clear. The nutritional profiles in organic products is superior compared to conventional ones, but the differences are almost insignificant and without practical relevance to the well-nourished population. Significant positive results were mentioned in some studies which showed that an increased organic food intake was correlated with attenuated incidence of infertility, birth defects, allergic sensitization, preeclampsia, metabolic syndrome, high body mass index, and of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. One could assume that organically food would provide health benefits since they usually have higher levels of beneficial phytonutrients, certain vitamins, minerals, also lower levels of insecticide residues. Most of these studies refer mainly to the antioxidant activity of these products in human health, and only a few in vitro studies investigated the anti-cancer potential of some organic foods. The beneficial effects on human health of organic vegetables, fruits, and other products in a balanced nutrition are scientifically argued, but do not guarantee that organic alternatives could give supplementary benefits. The existing food guidelines, which suggest the consumption of larger quantities of fruits and vegetables but less meat, are based on scientific studies which are conclusive both in the case of organic and conventional products. Nevertheless, the relationship between organic food consumption and human health is still insufficiently argued by epidemiological researches. Few studies explore the possible health advantages of eating organic food in humans. Even if these studies offer some indication, the results are insufficient to conclude whether organic foods are more human healthy. Conclusions: food quality aspects, human health, and environmental concerns influence organic food consumer preferences. The rapid growth of organic market in recent years is due principally to people belief on more nutritive properties of foods from organic agriculture. In this regard, literature studies considered in this review, dealing with the comparison of nutritive properties between organic and conventional fruits and vegetables, showed a high variability in results. Small differences in nutritive contents found in foodstuffs belong to the different cultivation methods, but in almost every study claiming large nutritional and sensory quality differences between organically and conventionally grown products, the researchers fail to control or to pair up similar environmental and cultivar inputs that affect plant and fruits development, yield, and quality. When this lack of methodological rigor was overcome by the application of a systematic review and meta-analysis approach, significant higher levels of antioxidant compounds and lower cadmium levels in organic food products were demonstrated. A way to improve comparative researches on nutritional value of organic food is to unify the methodologies applied and to better consider the various factors influencing nutrients content of agricultural food. There is also the need to include analysis of food during every step of the production chain and to consider further the effect of processing on nutritional parameters content. In accordance to this aspect, some authors suggest for future studies the holistic approach in which nutritional and technological parameters, together with sensor quality, are needed to evaluate in total the quality of foods. Although the subject of organic and non-organic foods has been, and it is still in the attention of the public, many controversies remain, especially among consumers who want to know the quality of food. Both in vegetal and animal foods, certain differences between organic and conventional foods were remarked. Inadequate diet and unhealthy lifestyle, and likewise food contamination and environmental pollution, lead to many diseases of civilization life, such as diabetes, atherosclerosis, cancer, and obesity. This is the reason why many consumers want to eat healthy, choosing the organic food. In addition, a lot of people believe in the nutritional properties of organic foods provided by organic farms, which do not use in the production stage genetically modified organisms or their derivatives, synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, growth stimulants, hormones, or antibiotics. Several comparative research studies highlighted that foods from organic production can be beneficial to human health by low content in contaminants, by high content of vitamin C, carotenoids, PFAs, and total phenolic content with intense antioxidative properties. On the other hand, conventional foods are characterized by a high content of total proteins and minerals, mainly potassium and phosphorus, which are basic constituents of fertilizers used in the conventional farms.